Apple Pay has reportedly been hit by low-tech fraudsters who are using stolen credit card numbers they got from a wave of breaches at U.S. retailers, including Home Depot and Target. The Wall Street Journal says Apple's system itself hasn't been penetrated by hackers. Criminals are entering stolen cards into phones, which can then be used to buy items without needing a physical card.
Billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban says tech companies are overvalued and he sees a bubble worse than the one that burst 15 years ago. The Shark Tank investor and owner of the Dallas Mavericks says the bubble is the fault of private investors putting money into apps and small tech companies.
Crowdfunding is going to create the perspective that it's even worse, because now you can invest as little as $5,000, and so you might be thinking, instead of getting my car fixed, I'm going to put my $5,000 in and I'm going to hit a home run. Next thing you know, there's no liquidity and you can't fix your car when it breaks.
Meanwhile, the tech boom has fueled a hiring spree in Silicon Valley, where companies are stepping up the fight for top talent. According to our next guest, the low supply of developers has resulted in an employee-driven jobs market. I'm pleased to say Steve Cadigan, former VP of LinkedIn and founder of Cadigan Talent Ventures, which has clients like Twitter, Greylock, and Andreessen Horowitz, joins us here in studio. Steve, a pleasure to have you on. A lot of people are saying that there is a tech bubble brewing in Silicon Valley. What has that done to the jobs market?
It is the hottest job market I've seen in years in Silicon Valley right now. Companies can't hire the right talent fast enough. There is a huge undersupply, especially of developers and technical talent. And what it's doing is it's shifting, I think, the power from an employer market to an employee market, where we're starting to see actually this concept of developers retaining agents, almost like sports figures, because they are the nitrous fuel that's driving the growth. And it's putting pressure on the best organizations to become the best places to work. Because in this increasingly transparent world where you have social media and the glass doors and the Facebooks where people are increasingly talking about what it's like to work at certain employers, companies are having to fuel experiences for their employees that are allowing themselves to create a platform of amplification that I love working here, so great talent's going to go to the great companies. So I think it's creating an efficiency of opportunity, because the best companies can no longer spin that they're the best companies. They have to actually have their employees talk about it.
And for these employees to fit into that bracket of being hugely in demand for the tech world, for the Silicon Valley market, jobs market, what kind of skills do they need to have? Are there specific degrees they need, or is this a kind of new world where they just come out with from aged 18 and they can be in demand?
That's a great question. I think there are definitely some hard skills that are in demand right now. Mobile development, search relevancy engineers, data science are the key ones. But perhaps the largest talent that is in short supply right now is this mindset of agility. It's impossible to predict the future. Things are changing so fast. Information is flowing. You've got big data, and we've got more information than we know how to absorb. So you need a team of people that can navigate this uncertainty and find ways of leveraging insights from the unknown. And this, I think companies are looking to universities now to deliver to us students that have a more open mindset, that don't need a job description, that are much more capable of operating in ambiguity.
One thing I noticed from Mobile World Congress, Steve, was that the entrepreneurial spirit is not just growing in Silicon Valley, but around the world in countries like India and China. How does that shift or change the dynamics of the job market?
Yeah, I think the increasing short supply of talent in Silicon Valley is requiring organizations to look more broadly around the world for other solutions and other capabilities. And unfortunately, some of the immigration policies in the US are preventing that supply from being realized. But what we're finding is that's driving new ways of collaboration, of invention of, hey, we need to work better across different time zones and try to avoid what I call the distance tax, where there's communication and cultural differences. And it is forcing more collaboration, where you have distributed teams learning to use different technologies to work more effectively together.
Steve, a lot of people sort of label the millennial generation, people of Seema Mody's age, as wanting to have sort of more fun in the job market and indeed just in life in general, and going for less serious jobs. Do you think that's a fair characterization?
I think that's a great question, and I think the way that I would frame the reality of this new generation is that they're learning in much more playful ways, that game mechanics and game methodology is how some of the schools are applying through iPad learning. And rather than, I think some people characterize this as sort of like a fun generation, but actually it's creating an environment where people can discover and innovate more. They're discovering is more of a playful environment than a serious, hardcore one. And that's affecting work environments. It's affecting how companies communicate with their employees.
So do millennials want that cool factor, that enriching experience when I work over? Is that a bigger priority than a high salary?
No, what I would say is that millennials want a place where they feel valued, they can make a difference, they're solving really big problems, and what they're working on matters. That, I think, is more important to them than compensation. I've hired thousands of people over the last 6 years, especially in Silicon Valley when we were growing LinkedIn from 400 to 4,000, and what resonated was purpose and mission and making a difference. And that's what people resonated with more than compensation per se.
Average salary of an engineer right now in Silicon Valley?
$120,000 starting.
Starting. That's amazing. Steve Cadigan, a former VP talent at LinkedIn and head of Cadigan Talent Ventures, thank you so much for your time.
Seema, we're in the wrong business, aren't we?
Perhaps we are, but it's exciting to see that type of growth and interest in tech in Silicon Valley.
And absolutely, and people deserve to be rewarded if they're delivering the goods.